We're live on Facebook, and we are ready to roll. So put your seatbelts on. We are going into the Six Screens JW World News. Stay with us.
You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, and exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, in Disney.
Well, here we go again. Another rockin' awesome Saturday night up here in New England. Boy, I'll tell you, here it is, August 21st, 2021. Well, Armageddon hasn't come yet, but boy, the way the world looks, it could be around the corner, right? Well, hello and welcome in, everyone. We are coming to you from the epicenter of apostasy, right up here in the hub of the universe, up here in Boston, Massachusetts. Boy, I have to tell you, things are really going on. I don't know if you guys been following the critical news in the Watchtower, but it's unbelievable. And we'll be talking about some of these unbelievable things tonight. You're not gonna even believe it. I mean, it's so unbelievable that it's unbelievable. But anyways, we're glad you're with us. My name's Rick Ferrin. And hey, after 16 years, I'm kind of getting used to this. I'm really kind of getting used to this. When we first started, there wasn't this much news to talk about concerning the Watchtower. But man, I don't even know if we're going to be able to cover all the stories here tonight on JW World News. But this is my favorite night of the week. This is when I go to the market basket. I get the cheese, I get the crackers, the salami, and I invite you all to come into my home, so to speak, via the internet, and we can all sit around the couch and we can talk about all of the evils, all of the critical news in the Watchtower. Well, let's take a look. Let's get moving right along. But I just want to mention one thing tonight, too. We are really expanding our network. We have a brand new program coming on tonight at 11 o'clock. Now, after my news, we know Dan, Clark, and Angela, they come on with their heart-to-heart program. And now at 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock, 1 hour, we have DeLon. She's from the Midwest. She's a former Jehovah's Witness, motivational speaker. Boy, she's coming on tonight with her program, brand new program called After the Storm. So be looking forward to that. So stay with us. Then, of course, Apostle Babe and Daniel, they come on at midnight tonight. So by all means, stay with us. What else are you going to do? You're going to watch TV and you're going to watch every other minute of commercial. Why don't you stay with us here? And not only that, this is interactive. You guys can actually call in. You can give us your thoughts. Now, listen, get a piece of paper, get a pencil. I'm going to give you a number you can call into. Because a lot of people say to me after the program, Rick, I didn't know I could call in. Yes, you can. You can call in. You get a piece of paper, get a pencil. There's no pin needed. If you got a cell phone, it's not even going to charge you. There's no money involved here. Generally speaking, all cell phones can call all around the country for free. So the number you want to call, 727-731-6701. Now, we're only going to give it once. I'll go one more time, and that'll be it. 727-731-6707. Go ahead and do that. And my goodness, we'll get you in here and love to hear what you have to say. You must have a story to tell. You must have been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. Well, come on in tonight and let us know about it. Speak up when we ask you some thoughts about the news that we're broadcasting. So let's take a look. Let's see what's going on behind the curtains. of the Watchtower. Well, this madness, you've been watching it, the madness in Afghanistan. Well, this fits right into the Watchtower narrative, doesn't it? Boy, I bet you it's the topic of discussion at all their online meetings this week. Oh, do you see what's going on in Afghanistan? Oh, my goodness, this is the end of the world. Well, as the organization always states, there are evidences all across the world that we are living in today that's showing us we're in the last days. Now, I'm not going to, the Watchtower is going to hit this right sometime. They've only been saying it for about 130 years. But one of these days, I suppose the Watchtower will hit it right. But, the big problem is right now for the Watchtower, they have too many conflicts going on. They have too many wars. They got a pandemic. They got climate change. They got earthquakes. They got typhoons. They got floods in Asia, fires all across the world. We're even getting a hurricane up here in New England over the weekend here. So we're seeing, boy, it's given the Watchtower a lot to talk about. But they talk about it and they talk about it. And you know what? Nothing ever happens, does it? Where is Armageddon? We're on Armageddon watch. When I first came out of the Watchtower back in 2005, started the website, 6 screens of the Watchtower, and our main heading is Counting Down, the last days of the Watchtower. Well, here we are 16 years later. Lots of things have happened, but no Armageddon yet. So, this has been stretching out for decades. We've heard it go way back to the early part of the century, go right back to 1914. Armageddon was supposed to come then. Armageddon was supposed to come in 1925, 1944, 1975, and some thought even around the turn of the millennial 2000. Where is it? Well, it's going to come one of these days, I know, but I don't know. The Watchtower has a lot of mud on their face. But you've been watching the news. Have you been watching it? It's sad. It's really sad what's going on over in Afghanistan. It's a nightmare. Poor people, little babies. It's sad for the people. The country has fallen apart, and now it's being taken over by the Taliban. Oh, my goodness, the Taliban. Hey, you know something? Don't you think the Taliban, don't you think the elders are very much like the Taliban? I mean, very, very similar. I got thinking of that today, as a matter of fact, and actually all this week. The Taliban, they have a strict interpretation of Sharia law or Islamic law. It's brutal. Man, they cut you no slack under Sharia law. You're a dead duck for doing little things. See, the Taliban is now in control of Afghanistan. And what they're going to start doing is they're going to ban all activities and media, including paintings. Oh, you can't have a painting in your house in Afghanistan while the Taliban is ruling. You can't even have photography. Oh, you like that little picture of your little baby? Get rid of it. No photography. They'll come and kill you. And movies, forget going to the movies. Are you kidding me? Going to the movies, you'll be killed walking in. So it's no movies. Now, also, the Taliban prohibits musical instruments with the exception of one. They call it the DAF, D-A-F. It's a type of a drum. It's like a little drum. They'll allow that, but you want to be an Elvis Presley, you want to be a rock star in Afghanistan, get that out of your head. No guitars, no drums other than that DAF. See, and also the Taliban, what I just talked about is kind of like low key. The Taliban also prevents girls and women, young women, from attending school. That's banned. Women are not allowed to work outside. They are required to just wear their burqas. We know what that is. It's the head covering, right? And they have to have a male relative accompany them all times when they're in public. How sick is that? But it's sick, but I can also give you some Watchtower doctrine, some Watchtower law, if you prefer. that is also twisted and foolish and stupid, just like the Taliban. Now, the thing is, in Afghanistan, now that the Taliban has taken over, if women break certain rules, you know what happens to them? They're publicly whipped or executed. If they break certain rules, if they go outside without a burqa on, if maybe they show a little bit of their leg, they could be killed for that. I mean, the Taliban, they forbade so many things: pork, alcohol, consumer technology such as television, filming, the internet, all of that stuff. Football games, chess, there's none of that. They don't get into sports, recreational activities. Did you know the Taliban will not even let you fly a kite? They will not even let you keep pigeons or other pets. They are also forbidden. And the birds were killed, according to Taliban ruling. Hey, this is ridiculous. But as I read this, I'm saying, well, is it really? Movie theaters are closed. They're not allowed to get involved in the Western world when they celebrate New Year's Eve. None of that. Well, who else does that? So I'm just giving you some ideas. And also the Taliban. Girls are forbidden to attend schools or universities. Doesn't this kind of sound reminiscent of the Watchtower? My goodness gracious. So men, well, now get a load of this. I want you to think about this. In the Taliban, men are forbidden to shave their beards, and they're required to let them grow and keep them long according to the Taliban's liking, and to wear turbans outside their household. Well, hold on right here. This is kind of like a reverse of the Watchtower, but now I'm getting it. I see that these high control groups, these extremist organizations, see what they're doing here? They're dealing and they're playing around with men's grooming. Now, the Watchtower doesn't want you to have a beard, but see the control they have over men? So men would never grow a beard in the Watchtower, or they would be disfellowshipped. Now, the Taliban's just the reverse. They want men to grow beards, and it has to be to the Taliban's liking. Isn't this the way it is in the Watchtower? Even if a man had a little bit of a mustache, it might not be to the Watchtower's liking. If he had a little bit of sideburn, might not be to the Watchtower liking. And they had to wear turbans outside their household. Well, this reminds me of the Zoom meetings that the witnesses are having as of late because of COVID. They have to wear a suit and a tie. The women have to wear a dress and get their hair fixed up and wear some makeup. This is right in their own household. They're not even going outside. So see, I'm drawing comparisons here. I'm drawing comparisons that I really see the elders and the Jehovah's Witness organization very much like the Taliban elders. The Taliban are religious extremists with their beliefs, heinous punishments for minor crimes. Yet their argument for why they exercise such punishment sounds like a Jehovah's Witness defense. One Taliban said it's these strict judgments that we have from the Quran and Sharia. They have a godly right. We have a godly right to use them to keep our country clean of sinners. What do you think of that? What do you think of that?
Rick,
yes.
Rick, I would say that's a very fair comparison, comparing the
Taliban.
Religious laws. Taliban, yeah, I was thinking of ISIS, but the Taliban to the elders. The Watchtower has told all of its members at one time that they would absolutely kill somebody that was disfellowshipped if the laws in the country would allow it. So, yeah, that's a really fair comparison. Thanks, Rick.
Well, yeah, well, thank you for chiming in, Dick, and that's exactly right. So when I was going over this week and looking at the television and the news on TV all about Afghanistan and seeing the strict rules that these Taliban people have, I'm saying, man, it's not much different than the elders. It reminded me of some elders. Well, let me say this: when the Taliban will kill you if you get out of order. I'm just going to mute Dick here. Hold on 1 second.
Yes.
All right, just going to mute Dick. So I was just going to say here that the elders, they handle cases that aren't even that severe. Basically, they kill people for going a little bit against Sharia law. It seems to be pretty much the same way in the congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses. A little bit can really throw you out and disfellowship you and make you spiritually dead. Now, I know, friends, that you're probably listening in. You're saying, come on, Rick. Man, don't you think that's being a little hard on the elders, comparing them with the Taliban? Well, both are wrong. Yes, Randy.
I just wanted to say, I watched a movie there's a true story about they call it the honor killings, and where they would, just like you described, they would murder the women, and they said that in their country, by doing that, they were considered heroes for doing that. Well, it made me think the same thing in the Jehovah's Witness organization. They murder their children by refusing to let them have blood, or sometimes they'll murder their children or their parents by basically shunning them, making them like dead, and yet they're considered heroes when they die for not taking blood, or or their children. Oh, you remain faithful to Jehovah and loyal to Him, or for shunning their parents. Oh, you remain loyal to Jehovah. They're making them heroes for doing something detestable.
Well, Randy, that's an excellent point. That really, really is. I didn't think of that, but yeah, they're heroes. In fact, the parents actually feel like their children are martyrs because they refuse blood. Thank you, Randy. Very, very good comment. So, the thing is, I am comparing elders in the Watchtower to the Taliban. I don't know if you get the chance to see some of these. Well, if a witness could ever watch an interview with a Taliban judge and how he judges people for doing things that don't even seem to be that bad, I'm wondering how a Jehovah's Witness would view a Taliban judge. See, they'd be looking at that Taliban elder and saying, well, believing their religion is only correct, one and all are deserving of death. So, in other words, that's the same thing in the Watchtower. The Taliban believes that believing their religion is the only correct thing to do, and all others that don't believe in the Taliban's religious thoughts, the Sharia law, they're deserving of death. Well, basically, that's the same thing in the Watchtower. If you're a Jehovah's Witness and you don't believe the laws of the Watchtower, then you will be disfellowshipped and you will be killed spiritually. Now, also honor killings. The Watchtower, people in the Watchtower could read about the Taliban and say, boy, they have these honor killings like Randy just said. Yeah, well, they do the same thing like he said. The kids die refusing blood transfusions and the parents make them martyrs. Another thing here too, I found death sentence. If you really get into Sharia law, the death sentence for minor crimes, just a crime like disrespect. If you disrespected a Taliban man, maybe you said a snide remark about him, maybe you looked at him in an ugly fashion, that would be disrespect, and you could die. The same thing in the Watchtower. What about this idea in the Shepherd the Flock book concerning brazen conduct? If you were brought into a judicial hearing in the Jehovah's Witness religion and you show brazen conduct, maybe if you're asked a question, you say, well, I don't really want to answer that question. It's too private. That could be considered brazen, and you could be disfellowshipped and shunned and spiritually killed. Really, when you think about it. And then another thing, there's other things the Taliban do, but I'd have to really go far out on a limb to see if the witnesses kind of mimic it. Multiple wives. Well, the Taliban has multiple wives now, obviously at the same time, evidently. But now in the Jehovah's Witness religion, we can only have one wife, but there were so many Jehovah's Witnesses that had more than one wife. They were divorced, married someone else, but I'm not picking here on divorce, or I'm not even saying, I don't even know if I know the right statistics on that, but I would say that multiple wives. And how about child brides? Well, the Watchtower, well, the Taliban, let's go with that. They marry children 13 years old, for goodness sakes. I've even heard of some of these Islamic people marrying children 8 years old, but let's go in the early teens. Let's stay there. Does that happen in the Watchtower? Well, I don't know many early teens. In fact, I don't know of any offhand. But I know one thing the Watchtower does do. They try to get you married pretty young in life. They really, really do. If you're going to get married where you're still fairly young. And we have heard of marriages in the Watchtower where young ones, very young ones, are involved. So, another thing I want to bring up here, and, I'm not going to, you guys are going to go, come on, Rick, the Watchtower elders are not like the Taliban. I get it. But there's certain things, I could go out on the limb and say some things. Now, the Taliban, what they do is they capture wives, they make them sex slaves in spoils of war. So, in other words, what happens is if the Taliban conquers a country, they capture the wives and they make those wives sex slaves. And now, Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm not going to go there with that. Jehovah's Witnesses don't go out capturing sex slaves, but in many respects, I don't know how many times you've had people speak up here on the 6 screens, and they said that they were married to men that were complete perverts. They were, in many ways, treating their wife like a sex slave. I've heard that a number of times. It's not as bad as the Taliban, but there's certain things going on in this Jehovah's Witness organization that I would say is perverted. So let's just go with that. So when you look into Watchtower law, it's somewhat like reading Sharia law, right? There's some similarities. So I wanted to bring that out today. That's all. And one thing I'll end this discussion with is the Watchtower article. Dick Borghi kind of alluded to it. But the Watchtower study article, November 15th, 1952, how about the Watchtower actually encouraging that they would kill apostates if it wasn't for the law of the land? Well, let me read it to you verbatim. You might say, Rick, you always go reading more into things than you should. But I'm going to read it to you verbatim, and you tell me. You tell me what you think. So this is questions from the readers, November 15th, 1952. Now you listen, I'm not going to add any words. I'm not going to subtract any words. I'm just going to read it as it says, right from questions from readers in the Watchtower, 1952, November 15th. It says, in the case of where a father or a mother or son or daughter is disfellowshipped, how should a person be treated by members of the family in their family relationship? All right, so that's the question. So here is the answer from the Watchtower. It says, we are not living today among theocratic nations where such members of our fleshly family relationships could be exterminated for apostasy from God and his theocratic organization, as was possible and was ordered in the nation of Israel, in the wilderness of Sinai, in the land of Palestine. Stop there. Stop there. So what they're saying is today, the witnesses are not really living among theocratic nations. No, they're in America. They're around the world. And, you can't kill someone because they don't have the same religious position that you have. So they're saying that, they, in the land of Sinai, in the wilderness of Israel, in the land of Palestine years ago, you could do that. And then they read a scripture. You could kill an apostate. Now notice this. This is a scripture. It says, thou shalt surely kill him. One who's not wanting to follow Jehovah. One who's not wanting to follow the Watchtower, an apostate. Thou shalt surely kill him, Thy hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. And thou shalt stone him to death with stones, because he hath sought to draw thee away from Jehovah thy God. And all Israel should hear and fear, and do no more any such wickedness as this is in the midst of thee. Okay, now you got it. Let's move on. You got that, right? Let's move on. Then it goes on to say, being limited by the laws of the worldly nation in which we live, and by the laws of God through Jesus Christ, we can take no action. In other words, we can't kill an apostate, only to a certain extent. That is consistent with both sets of law. The law of the land and God's law through Christ forbid us to kill apostates, even though they be members of our own flesh and blood family relationship. However, God's law requires us to recognize their being disfellowshipped from his congregation, and this despite the fact that the law of the land in which we live requires us under some natural obligation to live with and have dealings with such apostates under the same roof. I mean, I don't know what you get from that, but what I get just kind of perusing through it and analyzing it, what they're saying is, if the laws of the land allowed for it, you'd be a dead duck. You'd be killed. You'd be killed. But they spiritually kill you. And sometimes that can be very much the same. It can even be worse. Well, you're on JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want you talking about. But we talk, yes.
Yeah, this is Dan. I just wanted to chime in a little bit. Could I make a comment?
Of course.
Yeah. You're exactly right about this death, that we're going to get. I keep thinking, the Bible in the wrong hands is a deadly weapon. And they pull these scriptures out, and they make them so horrible. And we are given a death sentence, Rick. Remember Tony Morris, when that video went viral, when he was talking about the apostates? Do you remember when he lit that match? Well, that match is my heart. That match is your heart. And all of us out here, we're children of God, whether we're wayward or not. He lit that freaking match, and he blew it out. He blew it out, Rick. And he said, won't you be glad when they're all gone, never to return again? And the whole damn thing applauded. If that ain't Sharia law, Rick, the whole congregation applauded over the death of you and me because we said we don't want to follow these guys. They're misleading people. This is Sharia law, Rick. We were also threatened to death sentence too when they said that those who leave will suffer the second death. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he goes, I said, do you remember when they said the second death? He said, yeah, that's where you don't get resurrected because you already knew Jehovah. And I said, how about the one where they said that's where the gnashing of your teeth and the crushing of your head will be under Jehovah's feet? Rick, there's people today that are suffering still under this fear-based mind control organization. The guy coming on our show tonight, he's going to tell you about it, how much hell he was in and the fear he had of dying because of the brainwashing, the governing body, the Bible in the wrong hands, deadly weapon, curses. I mean, we were cursed, and I don't care if people want to call it a curse. When I left, Rick, I was under a damn curse. I was under the Watchtower curse. I thought I was going to die. Everybody that I know thought they were going to die, and they had to wiggle out, squirm out, go to therapy in order to get back on their feet. And so you're right, Rick. You can't say it any better. It's the greatest description. This is Sharia law, and they got 7 million people applauding our death for leaving. Thank you, Rick.
Well, great comment. Thank you, Dan. We're looking forward to your program tonight. Well, that's Dan Clark. He's got the program, him and his wife, Angela, tonight coming on Heart to Heart. That comes up at 9:30 tonight, right after JW World News. Well, anyways, in fact, I got thinking. I got thinking about the Sharia law and the Taliban. I'm just thinking if the Jehovah's Witnesses, if they ran their own government, well, let's say they had their own country, well, I'm sure that they wouldn't be much better than the Taliban, quite frankly. If they made their own laws of the land, they'd be just like the Taliban. Really, I am not kidding when I say that. Jehovah's Witnesses, friends, they are no better than terrorists. In fact, they are extremists. That is why Russia does not want them in the country. They are extremists. They may not pull the trigger and kill you, but they sure can't wait until God does, right? Well, they might not be able to kill you, but they're on their mind is, I can't kill them, but God will kill them. That's what goes through the mind of a Jehovah's Witness. So that's good. I wanted to bring that up. If someone wants to say something before we move to the next story, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Hello, Rick.
Yes, Constance.
Hi, Rick. I was going to say, it's very interesting because this is the big news with regards to Afghanistan and the United States pulling out. And what I was going to say is the Taliban, they are very extremists. In fact, they're just so bloodthirsty, in their culture and in their religion. They're Islams, they're Muslims. But they're so bloodthirsty that they feel that if they do something honorable to murder someone, then they're scoring points with their God Allah. And here in America, 9/11 hit in 01. Well, that was from the Taliban. That's who invaded us. So that gives you a little bit of insight as far as who they are. But the point I also wanted to make is they totally don't even respect women. Oh my God, I can't even imagine being a woman over in that country, Rick. But the thing I was going to say is, there's still a lot of Americans that are over there, and there are a lot of Christians. And for those of us who are Christians, we need to be praying for them because they have no qualms as far as beheading people, which is, part of their culture, or of murdering Christians because they hate Christians. But the point I wanted to make is, there's a lot of Christians over there that are trying to really get out as soon as they can, if there's any way possible. Because as far as the Taliban's concerned, they've already said, and the Christian people, the families know this, that they have got to try to save their daughters. I don't know about the little boys, but the daughters, because if the Taliban gets a hold of them, they will turn those children into sex slaves. I mean, they're really perverted, Rick. And so, how does that relate to Watchtower? Well, they don't really respect women, number one. Number two, they don't really want them to have an education, keep them barefoot and pregnant and stupid. And then number three, turn the kids, as far as their sexual toys. So there are some similarities, Rick, and they're all, they do it all in the name of God. They're God's Allah. So you can just see how perverted and twisted some of these organizations, groups, cultures, religions can really be. So thank you, Rick.
Well, excellent comment. Thank you, as always, Constance. We appreciate it. Well, let's move on. Let's take a look and see what else we got that's going on in the news. Countless Jehovah's Witnesses feeling anxiety about going back to the Kingdom Hall. Yep, that's for sure. I have got people writing to me. I am reading comments on Reddit and different boards. Boy, a lot of the witnesses are getting very anxious. They don't want to go back. They're starting to get panic attacks. They're worried about having to go back to the Kingdom Hall, and especially going out in service. Well, I'm going to tell you, just relax. If you're listening to me tonight and you think you're going back to the Kingdom Hall sometime soon or out in service, don't worry about it. It's not going to happen. It's still a while away. And, I'm telling you that things are happening really fast here. There's still no definitive idea when the witnesses will be going back. But what I'm going to say here is that they are feeling comfortable, the ones that stay on Zoom. There's a lot that don't go on. They turn it on and leave. But it looks like they're going to have a real disaster on their hands if they do decide to go back. It's going to really surprise them if they did go back to the Kingdom Halls. They're going to see that there's going to be a lot of empty seats. So I don't know. I don't know for sure. How can I say that? but I'm just getting some of the intelligence that's coming in here to the 6 screens and some of the things that people are saying online, and even getting calls, people calling in on the program here and talking to us, and even people calling me off the program who are witnesses. You know, they're doubting witnesses, PMOs, PMEs, and they're having some issues with the Watchtower. And they're telling me that, geez, they don't want to go back, and their friends don't want to go back either. But I'm just going to give you my thought. Now, I don't want you to take it to the bank and cash it, because who knows? I'm just giving you my thoughts on it. But what I'm thinking is, I believe the Watchtower is going to do this. They're going to sell most of the Kingdom Halls off. They're already doing it. I mean, this isn't some unbelievable, vision that I'm having here. That they're already doing it. So what I'm thinking here is they're going to sell most of the Kingdom Halls off, and they're going to keep one strategically located Kingdom Hall. I believe that's what's happening right where I live. I went to the Wilmington, Massachusetts Kingdom Hall. Now, they sold a bunch of Kingdom Halls all around this area. Billerica, that's a town here. They sold Billerica. They sold Dracut. I believe a portion of Lowell, one of their congregations, was let go, and Lawrence, a congregation. These are all congregations around Wilmington. But it looks like they're keeping the Wilmington Kingdom Hall. Now, what I'm thinking is that what they might do, there's 2 ways I'm thinking here. They might keep this like for a little, one Kingdom Hall where there might be as many as 6 or 7 congregations, maybe even more, that would attend a little mini meeting, a little mini convention, if you would, call it what you want, a little mini assembly, maybe every 5 or 6 months. And then they could come there and still have some, in-person meeting each other and love bombing one another. That's a possibility. And this way they're going to keep their costs down, sell most of the Kingdom Halls off. It'll also be a great revenue booster, a great fundraiser. Every 6 months or so, you have a little mini convention and people meet in person, 100 or 200 people at a Kingdom Hall. They'll put those money boxes out there, and my goodness, how the money will roll in. It'll roll in big time. It's just my thought, but I think that's what they'll have. I don't know what they'll call them. Little super Kingdom Halls or convenient Kingdom Halls, whatever they'll call them. But I do know one thing, and I want you to think about this. It's not the virus that is stopping them from meeting in the Kingdom Halls. I don't buy it. Of course, they're promulgating that thought. They're telling the people all over their jw.org that, we love everyone and we want to make sure everybody's safe. I don't believe for 1 second that it's the virus that's stopping them from meeting. They are right now making more money than they ever made. They got all these Kingdom Halls shut down. There's no money going out for really a lot of electric bill or heating bill or cooling bill, a light, any of that. And of course, all that money that is being saved, the Watchtower is asking the elders to keep sending money in. They didn't reduce the amount of money they have to send in every month. So, the Watchtower is making out like a bandit here. And then even some of the local congregations are going, well, you know something? We got some extra money here. We don't have to pay a $250 light bill this month. It's only $15. Let's send the rest to the Watchtower. I'm sure that's what's happening. But here's the big news. Here is the big news I wanted to give you here tonight. It has been rumored. Now, underline the word rumored, because I'm saying it's only a rumor. So don't take it to heart totally, but it makes sense to me. It's been rumored that you will not be able to attend. In fact, from Bethel, they're talking about rumors, they're buzzing all around Bethel, that Jehovah's Witnesses will never return to the pre-COVID Kingdom Halls again. Have you heard that? I think we have someone who wants to speak up. Go ahead, you're on with us. Area code 197, you're on with us.
Yeah, this is Joe. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Joe, yes.
Yeah, I'm out of Colorado, and I got soft shun the other day by a fellow elder I used to serve with, and he actually, I don't like the term stepping down. He actually stopped serving as an elder. You know how they used to say step down? Well, that puts him in an elevated position. But anyway, he stopped serving as an elder, and he said there are a lot of issues with these Zoom meetings. And Rick, you were an elder, right?
I never was an elder. I was a ministerial servant. They wanted to make me an elder. I wouldn't accept it.
Okay, well, here's what he told me as far as the Zoom meetings. And I was an elder for 13 years, circuit and district speaker. That the best part of being in the Watchtower for me was public speaking. Not door-to-door ministry, but actually public speaking. And he told me that several elders and ministerial servants don't want to do this Zoom meeting because they're giving a talk and they don't feel that it's personal. In addition to that, he was saying that you're right. People are grouping up. They're grouping together, and I think that's a problem for the Watchtower. In addition to that, he also mentioned that these Zoom meetings, the person that's presiding over the Zoom meeting, half of the people shut it down. And then sometimes you have kids on there and they're just making funny faces, and the elders just don't feel that it's the way it used to be. They want that live interaction. And the last thing I'll just say to the audience, every church I've passed by, they are meeting. There is no reason for them not to meet. They get social distance at the hall. The hall that I used to go to, at one time we had 82 publishers. When I left, when I was dismissed from the Watchtower, we were down to 30. So there's no reason not to social distance when you have 30 people showing up for a meeting and you have the audience capacity of 140. You see what I'm getting at?
Absolutely.
So I don't buy the COVID. Every church I pass by, they have plenty of people. You see the kids outside playing. But for these Kingdom Halls to be down, I have a funny feeling this is going to give the Watchtower more incentive to sell more Kingdom Halls. And lastly, I'll conclude by just saying that they just sold another Kingdom Hall in eastern Colorado, Kingdom Hall that I worked on.
Yeah, they're selling them like crazy. I mean, that's for sure. Well, my goodness, I'm so glad you chimed in here tonight. I think I've heard you on here before. Is this the first time?
No, I was on probably about 4 or 5 months ago, but I started having some issues with nightmares, and I kind of tried to get away from it. But now I'm kind of free of the nightmares. I have them from time to time. That's what happens when you spend 49 years in the Watchtower. At 3 years of age, I was indoctrinated. And of course, it's not just Armageddon nightmares. I always tell my audience on my YouTube channel, it's the Judicial Committee nightmares that really destroyed me. I still have those from time to time. And that's why the Bible's very clear, do not judge, for you'll have a heavier judgment.
Well, gee, I'm sorry for you, and I pray that you can get through all of that. But no, it's very stigmatizing. Yeah.
I'm getting through it. I'm getting some counseling, and even just the last point, even the person that I go to see, she's from another country, but she speaks very good English. She is shocked that organization Shun, and I told her that there are other organizations that shun, but she just doesn't think that that's healthy. And it isn't. It's not healthy. And it's not healthy for the person that is on the other side of the Judicial Committee. But I believe unless you're a narcissistic elder, a power control elder, if you have a conscience, it will take you down. And I've been out for almost 9 years, and I still struggle with the nightmares, but they're getting better.
Well,
I want to say, Joe, we are so glad you come back to YouTube. You've got so many of us that missed you. You think you had the best channel ever up there.
Well, thank you, Randy. That means a lot to me. And I've got about 7 videos if people want to check them out. But I appreciate you giving me the time, Rick, and thank you.
Well, tell us about your YouTube. Tell us how we can get a hold of you on there.
Oh yeah, it's it's X. Let's see, XJW #4747.
Oh, very good. Well, that's good. We got a big audience in here tonight, and I'm sure.
I'm sorry, it's X Witness #4747.
All right. So that's good. No, you'll get some people coming in. There's a lot of people listening in tonight. So, but thank you for coming on, Joe. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Rick?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Hi, honey. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Yeah. This is Constance. Hey, Joe. I wanted to say hi to you. My goodness, it's so wonderful to hear your voice. And hi, honey. How you doing? My gosh, I've been keeping you in my thoughts and prayers. It's so wonderful that you're listening into Rick's show. I just want to tell Joe. Rick has a lot of many more viewers because so many people are coming out of the organization. And for those who don't know Joe, this is the brother that I've on several occasions have mentioned that he had a YouTube channel, and he's from Colorado and had been an elder for 12 years. And, I agree with Randy. Joe, I think you touch so many people because your testimony and some of your videos were so funny. But anyway, you touched the audience because people realize you were the real deal. And, honey, you happen to be one of those elders that happen to be one of the good guys. You really love the brothers and sisters in the congregation. You really had a heart of gold, and you were always trying to do the right thing. So it's so wonderful to hear you come on here, and I hope you're doing well. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Condi. And I might just say this: Rick is actually very fortunate. He didn't become an elder because, like you mentioned, I was an elder for a little over 12 years. It tears you apart if you're a good guy, if you're in it for the real reasons, it still destroys you. But there's a lot of elders that get in it for the wrong reasons, prestige and other stuff. But anyway, thank you so much, and I'm gonna listen to the rest of the. I really love this forum. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Joe, and then thank you, Constance. My goodness, it's so neat to hear all these people coming in and talking with us. It's really nice to have these people doing YouTube as well. And YouTube is making such a huge difference in getting people out of the Watchtower. Well, you're on JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want you talking about. But we talk about it here every single Saturday night. So don't miss it. We do it all the time. In fact, every other Sunday as well. Not tomorrow, but in 2 weeks, we'll have our Sunday edition. So I just wanted to say that countless Jehovah's Witnesses, as I said, they're feeling anxiety. They don't want to go back to the meeting. It has nothing to do with COVID either, why they're not opening the Kingdom Halls, as Joe just kind of agreed with me. And now we have rumors. We have rumors that are buzzing around Bethel. And the information that we're picking up here, information we're getting at the 6 screens, they're saying that many Bethelites is saying that Jehovah's Witnesses will never return to pre-COVID Kingdom Halls. So for those that are having anxiety and thinking they're going to have to go back to the meetings out in field service, don't sweat it. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's ever going to happen. So we'll have to just bear that in mind. In fact, what I'm thinking that, just in view of some of the things I've been hearing, and we're going to get into it. We're going to get into the convention talk with Stephen Lett, the last talk of the convention. It seems like they're going to be going back. I mean, I don't know, but it seems like they could be going back to small groups meeting in homes even, like the old book study arrangement. But we'll get into that in just a few minutes here as we go into Stephen Lett's talk. But I'm thinking that maybe every 2 or 3 months, one of these super Kingdom Halls that has been left unsold, the witnesses can meet in person there. They'll be able to donate heavily to the Watchtower, and it'll be working out well. So that's what I'm thinking. So only time will tell. Yeah, so let's go more into this meeting in small groups. Friends, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the convention. Have you guys had a chance to see the convention, the live streaming Powerful by Faith Works convention? Well, let's take a check here. I'm just going to, take a look at this. I want you guys to see it. But it's quite the talk. Stephen Lett. What a character that guy is. I've never seen a man so animated in my life. I don't know if he's suffering from some type of but I'm not making fun of it. He could have like palsy or something like that. But he makes some of the strangest facial expressions. But he gave the last talk at the convention. Of course, it's all online. The convention does not have people meeting in person. They're all listening to it and watching it online. But he gave the last talk of the convention, which would have been Sunday afternoon. And I want to play parts of it. I thought it was very, very interesting. They seem to really be hitting hard on persecution. But they've always hit hard on persecution, right? So the biggest thing that they talk about at conventions these days is apostasy and persecution. And of course, that wasn't going to get by this convention, the Faith by Works, the Powerful Faith Convention. That wasn't going to get by them this time. So I'm going to play a little clip here. I want you to listen, and I want you to see what you think. But let me just give you a little understanding here of what is going on. Well, they're concerning a brother. There's a brother, as a matter of fact, he is going to be arrested. He feels like he's going to be arrested because of the persecution. We'll talk a little bit about that. But I want to start off, first of all, let me get into the convention here. Let me go 2633 in. Just stay with me. We'll get on to the convention. Make sure I got the right one up here. All right, let's get into the convention. 26. Let me move my little cursor here forward. I want you to listen to what he says here. Let me just move up to where we should be. 2633. Just a little bit more. All right, right about here. Let's listen in. This is Stephen Lett. Let's follow it through. He's talking about apostasy. Let's listen to what he has to say here.
Assist with a building project. Set something aside for Jehovah's work. The talk put up a hard fight for the faith, reminded us that, as is true in all fights, in our fight, we have enemies. For one thing, we must reject apostate lies and the false stories of other opposers, which are designed to sow doubt and weaken faith. Satan is very skilled at using innuendo, half-truths, and lies. So it's not surprising that the news media, which is often manipulated by apostates, clergymen, and other opposers, likewise often employs innuendo, half-truths, and lies against Jehovah's organization. Think about this. Faith is a product of Holy Spirit. It's a provision from Jehovah to strengthen us, whereas doubt is a tool of the devil designed to weaken us. Do you recall how Satan approached Eve? Is it really so that God said, you must not eat from every tree of the garden? Is that really so? Why did he present it that way? To plant doubt and shipwreck her faith. And he succeeded. Well, likewise, if we're not careful, doubt can shipwreck our faith. But strong faith keeps doubt out of our hearts and minds. But now, talking just a little bit more about apostates, what if an apostate knocked at your front door and said, I'd like to come into your home, I'd like to sit down with you, and I'd like to teach you some apostate ideas? Well, you would immediately get rid of him, wouldn't you? You would send him down the highway. But now think of this. What if that same apostate tries to come into your home by means of the television or computer? Well, hopefully we reject him just as decisively. 2 John 10 says, if anyone comes to you and does not bring this teaching, never receive him into your home. That would mean not through the front door, not through the television or computer. Sadly, though, some have reasoned, foolishly, if I listen to this apostate on television or the computer, or perhaps read his book, I'll recognize how wrong he is. It'll build up my faith. And if I ever encounter this teaching in the ministry, I'll better be able to refute it. Well, that is foolish thinking indeed. That would be like reasoning, if I eat stinky, rotten food from a garbage can, it'll really help me in the future to recognize bad food. Not very good reasoning, is it? Rather than feed our minds poison apostate ideas, we read God's word daily and strengthen and safeguard our faith.
Well, what do you think of that? What do you think of that? Apostate poison. Now, boy, they really brought that up a lot. David Splain brought it up in his talk. And now we have, of course, Stephen Lett bringing up in his talk, apostate poison. And what do you think of his illustration about eating garbage food? You know, would you eat it to find out that now you know what garbage food tastes like? Crazy illustration. But boy, they are doing everything possible to get people to not listen to apostates, because there's so many people speaking up against the Watchtower right now. Don't listen to it. They can't tell you enough. Well, that's Stephen Lett. My goodness, I don't know. You guys probably listened to all of that and said, what is that all about? But, you know, that's just part of it. Let's go back. Let me just see what else Stephen had to say in this talk. Let me scroll down here a little bit. Yeah, I thought you might like.
Could I just make a
Of course. Go ahead, Constance. Absolutely.
Is that okay, honey? I'll just be brief, honey. I was just going to say, you know, they are so terrified of us, it's not even funny. But what I wanted to say is to totally destroy everything that he said. That organization does not have God's Holy Spirit. It's full of lies. But yet, you know, they're terrified of all of us who are exposing all of their lies. So they have to, you know, they have their lies and they got to make up another lie to cover that lie. And then they've got to come up with another lie to cover that lie. You know, Rick, this organization is not based on God's Holy Spirit at all. It's very demonic. So, you know, if they lose members, that means they lose money. So that's the bottom line. They're terrified of all of us because we're exposing them. So thank you, Rick.
Well, yeah, absolutely, Constance. No doubt. That's what it is. It's all made up of lies. They can't stand it, that they're being exposed. We just had the man from Colorado, Joe, on that does YouTube. There's so many. And I kudos out to all the people that are exposing the Watchtower, whether you're doing YouTube videos, whether you're writing on Reddit, whether you're calling up here into the 6 screens like Constance just did. We're all working together, and it is doing a job. Lloyd Evans and John Redwood and Mike and Kimmy and all these people, all of us working together here, we're forming a huge coalition. It's really a formidable force, and it's killing. It is doing a job on the Watchtower. Well, what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring up, I'm going to see if I have them in here. I wanted to bring up some pictures. Friends, they are going to the nth degree. The artists at Watchtower are trying to do everything they possibly can to scare the living daylights out of you with their pictures, their newest pictures that are appearing in their videos and that are appearing in their Watchtower magazines. We all know that for years the Watchtower did this. They loved to scare the living daylights out of people when it came to, you know, showing people falling into earthquakes, people being eaten up by fire. Well, let's see if we can't find those pictures. I want to get them up. I want you to see it. Let's get in here. I got to go to sound. Boy, I'll tell you, this always does happen. We'll get it. Just stay with us. I got to go to screenshots. All right, now I'm going to go down here. And I'm going to see if we have some pictures here for you to see. Why don't that come up? Well, these are pictures, again, showing the stormtroopers, the stormtroopers coming in and, knocking on the doors of the witnesses with high-powered rifles, trying to really do a job on the witnesses. And they're scaring the witnesses to death. Well, I can't get the video up here, right, on the pictures up right now, but you know what I'm talking about. You've seen pictures in the Watchtower like that before. But what I will do here is I want to go back to JW streaming here with Stephen Lett. Let's go back because I want to bring this up. What they do in his talk that he gave, this was the last talk he gave at the convention, I should say. Well, let's see what happened here. I just lost something. Boy, all you got to do, okay. So anyways, what happens is this talk was given by Stephen Lett, streaming on jw.org. Now, what they're trying to do, and more so than ever, they're kind of suggesting that many Jehovah's Witnesses are going to be arrested. Really? Now, when I was a witness, they never really went that far. But even that David Splain talk a couple of weeks ago, we played it. He kind of even suggested similar things, that you're going to hear of Jehovah's Witnesses being arrested, but don't believe what the media is saying about the witnesses because they're prejudiced. Remember we talked about that? Well, now Stephen Lett, in this talk, same convention, a day later, he now is saying similar things. I want you to listen closely to this video. It's about a brother, and he must be an elder, he's telling his wife and daughter that he's afraid he's going to be arrested because he's one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So let's listen in. I just got to fast forward here a little bit. I got to go to 3322. Stay with me. I want you to, this is really, really good. So listen in here, see what he says here. Just stay with us. Stephen Lett talking about, he plays a video and you're going to hear the brother. You're going to see the brother. It's unbelievable.
Chapter 6. And please, let's read together verse number 10. But as soon as Daniel knew that the decree had been signed, he went to his house, which had the windows of his roof chamber open toward Jerusalem, and 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed and offered praise before his God. Now notice, as he had regularly done prior to this. So Daniel knew what was right, and he didn't hesitate to do it. And he was consistent in his worship. Daniel chapter 6, verse 16 tells us that Daniel was continually serving his God. And Watchtower explains the original Bible word translated continually serving basically means to move in a circle, which suggests continuity. And how well that describes Daniel's unbroken worship. See, there's no end to a circle. It's unbroken, is it not?
Coming up now.
Please watch the following dramatization that depicts a brother who faces the threat of being arrested. But by reflecting on Daniel's example, he is helped to continue serving Jehovah with constancy in the face of this intimidating circumstance.
It's still chaos in many parts of the city, with armed soldiers detaining and arresting those not pledging support of the new government.
Are we still going to the meeting tonight?
I wanted to do what was best for my wife and daughter. But a few of the elders have already been arrested. What if I was arrested? What would happen to my family?
Now it's showing Daniel, the Bible character, what he says. You listen in.
You're not going home to pray, are you? I pray at my window. 3 times a day, every day. If I even appeared to compromise, what would they think? I know Jehovah, and if I trust him, he'll reward me. I don't know how, but he will.
Well, they arrested Daniel.
Pray that I keep my faith, that we all keep our faith, no matter how this ends.
Then it shows them getting ready to throw
The scriptures
Daniel
are clear.
into
We
the
must
lion's
continue
den.
to meet together, even in small groups if necessary. Let's just pray that whatever happens.
Did you catch that? We have to continue to meet together, even in small groups if necessary. Friends, I tell you all the time, what the Watchtower does, what cults do, is they tell you before they tell you. They tell you while they are telling you, and then they tell you what they told you. That's what they're doing here. This video, the last video played here during the convention, they're telling you in this video that get ready, you're going to have small groups meeting. They're telling you ahead of time. They're going to lock that into your head. The days of big groups of Jehovah's Witnesses meeting, that's over. Stick a fork in that. It's not going to happen. They're telling you here ahead of time. This brother is getting arrested. He's being persecuted. They're going to use persecution. They're going to switch from COVID for slowing down meeting at the kingdom halls and giving them the opportunity to sell all the kingdom halls off. They're going to switch from COVID to persecution. Oh, the stormtroopers, we got to be careful. They're going to come get us. We can't meet like this anymore. The preaching work is coming to a halt. Jehovah is watching over us. They're coming after us. That's what they're going to keep preaching here. I see it coming. Let's listen in. Let's finish it up.
We have the strength to endure it. Dear Jehovah God, please. Eventually, I was arrested.
He said eventually he was arrested, and now it shows him in an orange prison suit in prison. What do you think that is doing to Jehovah's Witness mind that's sitting there watching this garbage? Oh my God, we're going to be, we're going to be thrown into prison. How could we ever go back and meet at Kingdom Halls? They're going to come get us. We got to be very careful. We got to meet in small groups. So now it's showing this brother sitting in prison with an orange jumpsuit on. Let's see what he has to say.
We miss you so much, but we're very proud of you.
He's reading a letter from his wife.
Whatever the outcome of your trial, you'll maintain your faith, and so will we.
Are you scared?
I was very scared. But Jehovah helps us when we're scared.
You know, I'm gonna tell you something, folks. I'm gonna tell you something. The Watchtower is doing pretty good with their video production. I mean, I'm not getting ready to give them an Academy Award, but they're getting pretty good with it. So they show this brother, I guess he's an elder. He's thrown into prison. He gets a letter from his wife and his family. Oh, we miss you. And then finally he did get out for whatever reason. It doesn't show. But then they show how Daniel, the Bible character Daniel, how he was put in prison for praying out his window to Jehovah. So he was put into prison. And then it shows Daniel praying, and he's being ready to be thrown into the lion's den. This is good job, Watchtower, for scaring people. This works. Watchtower knows it works. That's why they're trying to go all video. They know this is going to capture the emotion of people. Disgusting. Disgusting. I know they're looking for new recruits, and this is one way they're going to do it, is through their video production. So that's Daniel, and he's being thrown. He's going to be thrown in. But let's go back to the brother, see what the brother says.
I knew I would be okay, and that Jehovah would take care of my family.
As was true of the brother.
Well, let's stop it right there. So, yeah, so don't worry, even if you're thrown into prison and they put an orange jumpsuit on you, don't worry, Jehovah will help you. But will the organization help you? I mean, what about your wife and family? Will they have money to buy food? Will they be able to pay the rent? But don't worry, Jehovah will help you. Well, I'll tell you what, I can't take any more of this. This is unbelievable what they're doing here. But this is what the Watchtower does. All right, let's get off of this. Well, let's stop him right here.
We will be persecuted.
Well, let's stop him right here.
Second
All
Timothy.
right, let's get off that. Okay. Well, there you go. I wanted to bring that to your attention tonight. I thought you might enjoy that talk. Boy, I'll tell you, talk about fear-mongering. Boy, they are now at the point where they are really getting the witnesses really frightened to death. But that's what works. Fear is the glue. Fear is the glue that holds the Watchtower together. That's what I think. What do you think? You're on with us. Go ahead.
Hello, Rick?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with Constance and then we'll go with Joe. Yeah, go ahead, Constance.
Thank you, Joe. I was just going to say, they have so much. I mean, now I can see why they want the news media center, because, they're going to play this to the hilt, Rick, and just make everybody so fear-based. See, they say to be faithful to Jehovah, but what that really means is to be faithful to the Watchtower, to be faithful to the governing body members, to be faithful to this cult. That's what that really means. And Rick, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. I don't see any difference between what Watchtower is having everybody drink this poisonous Kool-Aid with all this garbage, with all this paranoia. I don't see any difference between that crap and the crap that Jim Jones did with everybody that was killed over in Guyana, 900 people, because they drank that Kool-Aid. So people need to really wake up. And yeah, Watchtower will throw the elders and everybody else under the bus, Rick. Absolutely. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Constance. All right, let's go with Joe.
Yeah, Rick. Now, if anybody's listening, and they may need to correct me on this, but I was watching an excerpt of the convention, or not the convention, a special meeting where they said that these studio production, I believe it's going to be more than one, they're not going to be ready till 2026. Okay, it's 2021, and Stephen Lett last year said that we were in the final part of the days. So how can they start a project that isn't even going to be finished until 2026 if we're in the final part of the days? Does anybody want to give some insight? Maybe it's not 2026. Maybe I was wrong on the date.
No, you're right. You're right on the date. It's not going to be finished till 2026. I got into a meeting with the planning board back in May, and that's a projected date that's going to be finished. So we're still talking 5 years, and you're absolutely right. How can we be in the final part of the days if it's not going to be built till then? Yeah.
Hey, Brother Farron, it's Sister Pixie from the land of Shinar.
Well, Sister Pixie, always good to get some people coming in from the Mideast, I'll tell you.
That's right. My message is flee the theocracy and come to the land of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Well, I'll tell you what, it would be great if people would do that. My goodness, because you're free, right, Pixie? You came to the land. You came to the land.
I'm gluten free. I don't want miracle wheat anymore.
Well, I'm with you with that, but you're now free. You came to the land of the real milk and honey. So we're always glad
That's right. I hope that this time next year, maybe I can teach English to some of those women that are escaping over there and coming here, because when we've been under a high control theocracy, we know what freedom is and we love it.
Well, in fact, I got up this morning and I spoke with my wife. We had breakfast together. And I said to her, I am glad to be an American. Man, when I'm looking out there, we could have been born in some other country, which really would have been difficult. Man, we got it made in the shade here. After seeing what's going on this week, I'm not going nowhere. I'm not getting on an airplane. I'm going to stay in this country. I'm not going nowhere right now. I love this country.
Well, those women had freedom at one time, and then they all learned to read and sent their daughters to school. So some fine people are going to open some fine restaurants when they get here.
Well, good for you, Pixie. Well, you sound very exciting tonight. I mean, what's going on in your life? You just come back from dancing lessons or something?
Oh, of course. Always rocking and rolling.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Always good to hear from you, Pixie. Thank you for chiming in with us. Thank you.
Thank you for your comparisons tonight. You do a great job.
Well, thank you. Thank you. All right. I think we got another caller. Go ahead. You're on with us. All right.
Rick, just a quick.
Yeah, sure.
Rick?
Yes, Dick.
Just a quick thought. It's no wonder why so many Jehovah's Witnesses have PTSD. They probably don't even realize they have it. But when you keep Armageddon in front of everybody all the time, that's all you think about. Armageddon, how terrible it's going to be. And, these people, these poor people, even if you're not in a combat zone, you can have PTSD just because you're thinking about it all the time. And they do that. They make the Jehovah's Witnesses consume all the time the fact that Armageddon is coming and it's going to be terrible and only Jehovah is going to protect them. Thanks, Rick.
Well, you're right, Dick. That's what they do, and they've been doing it for years, and they get away with it. But I think I think it's over. I really do. I think it's over. People are waking up and smelling the coffee. Yeah, I can see that the Jehovah's Witness organization, they're going to become more like tele-evangelist and online religion. They seem to be having fun with it. They are reaching, like I say, their videos aren't too bad. They're not too bad. Of course, they're false, but they're not bad video quality-wise. Even the acting isn't too bad. So anyways, I think about, the Watchtower, they've always condemned tele-evangelists, haven't they? Geez, they never liked Billy Graham. They never liked Benny Hinn. I mean, I never liked Benny. Well, one time I liked Benny, but not now. He's also a false teacher. But you know what I'm thinking is they used to speak so abusively about these Christians that came on TV. And now they're doing the same thing. In fact, not only are they coming on with their live streaming and governing body members giving talks and these videos, but they also have music videos, which is something that, the Watchtower, they never liked all of this. They thought that the world, the Christians of the world should not be doing it, but now they're doing it. So go figure. How do you make sense out of nonsense? That's where I'm going. Well, anyways, we've been talking here, and I don't know if you've been seeing it or not, but coming across in some magazines, some newspapers, even on some local television channels, I'm seeing the witnesses speaking up. There seems to be little clips that they play about the witnesses. As a matter of fact, there's a magazine. It's like a newspaper, online magazine. It's called Style Magazine. It's in Houston, Texas, and it's an urban weekly newspaper. And it serves the African-American Hispanic populations in the greater metropolitan Houston area. Well, in the last couple of weeks, maybe a little longer than that, they had Watchtower on there, a spokesman for Watchtower on their little clip that they do online and talking about the witnesses and what's going on during COVID. But as you guys all know, at least when I was growing up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and you too, if you were back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, you would never get the Watchtower to come on and be interviewed or make comments to the press. You would never see that. You never hear of it. But it's happening quite a bit now. And they're coming on these news programs with little clips about their witness work and how they're doing during the virus and what have you. And I'm thinking that something's going on here. I really don't think that these news agencies are saying, well, come on and talk, Jehovah's Witnesses. I believe that, the Jehovah's Witnesses, maybe there's some operatives in it, which I feel that are working to really get the message out, because there's so much bad information about the witnesses. They're trying to get good information out. And we've talked about the spokesperson for the Watchtower. His name is Robert Hendricks III. And he seems to be the spokesman that's being shown. Well, he's showing up in a bunch of little news stations around the country, also being interviewed in newspapers around the country as well. So here's the deal. What I'm thinking is that this extremist cult has brothers in several regions of the USA, and they are working to get public information out about how wonderful the Jehovah's Witnesses are. In some cases, I think they're even paying some of these media sites, whether it be television, a newspaper, or magazines, to even feature an article about them. That's what I'm thinking, because these pieces are they blast out so much puff about the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's not even funny. I'm going to play you a clip. I want you to hear a clip from this Houston newspaper. And I want you to see, is this a well-rehearsed clip or what? But let's play the clip. I want you to hear from Hendricks. Boy, this guy is a snake. But man, they are using him a lot lately. He comes across as pretty credible, I guess, to the media. But when I see him, I see snake eyes. I see this guy he's not telling the truth. So let's see if we can't get Robert Hendricks up. Let's see if we can't get over to that YouTube clip and see if we can't get that to you so you can see it. So just give me a second here. We got a lot of different clips here we're trying to play. Let me see. Why does this always happen to me? Oh, here we go right here. Let's get this clip up. We got the clip up. I want you to hear it. You'll hear it if you're on our radio network. You'll see it if you're on our visual sites.
To get a little bit more serious, and today is one of those days. March 2021 not only brought back a plethora of bittersweet memories for us, it also reminded us that life as we knew it had changed for the foreseeable future, and for some, had changed forever. One thing you may have noticed is the absence of a knock on your door by a very familiar group, Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses have been knocking on doors for as long as anyone can remember. In fact, their knock-knock ministry is so popular that they are literally embedded in pop culture. That's via movies, TV, and more commonly found in comedies. So where did they go?
Well, what a bunch of puff that is. Now, this woman's with the Style magazine out of Houston, Texas. She's about ready to bring this Hendricks snake on, as I call him. But, she's saying that they're iconic. The witnesses are iconic in pop culture. They're knocking on doors. I wouldn't give them that. I'd say they're the biggest nuisance in the world. She's kind of speaking to it like people like the witnesses coming around. I don't miss the witnesses. I miss the Avon lady. I miss the bread man. I miss Full of Brush. But I don't miss the witnesses. Let's listen in to what she says.
Did they stop preaching? Well, of course, Totally Randy has you covered. And sitting down with me is the U.S. spokesman for Jehovah's Witnesses, Mr. Robert Hendricks. And we're going to discuss 1 year without knocking with him. So tune in. Okay, thank you so much, Robert, for sitting down and speaking with us. This is something that new that we've done for Houston Style magazine. I didn't even know that Jehovah's Witnesses actually sit down and speak with publications like this. I mean, recently I've kind of seen that happen a little bit more, but 1 year without knocking. Gosh, let's dive right into that. Let's talk about that. So your organization is worldwide, and in March of 2020, that door-to-door ministry stopped. Now, did it stop worldwide, or was it centralized here in the United States? Was it wherever COVID spread? Can you just kind of talk about that a little bit?
Sure. March 20th was really when we in the United States stopped our public preaching work. A letter went out to all of our 13,000 congregations in the United States. And it.
Now, you tell me if this isn't a puff piece. Now, this is Robert Hendricks. He's the spokesman for the Watchtower. Look what's behind him. This is all so pre-arranged. This is done by design. Look at him. Right behind him, a sign, jw.org. I mean, come on. This is all well arranged. That they were ready for this. Even the little clips that's showing of people going door to door. These were all well done. This is a puff. This is what we would call a puff piece. This is not totally accurate. So let's listen to what Hendricks has to say.
It basically said that public preaching is suspended for now. And that includes not only knocking on doors, but it also includes being out in Houston area, out at the airport. We're at the airport. We're a ubiquitous presence at the airports in Houston. We're in the city, but all of that has stopped, including in-home visits and Bible studies. And that was a deliberate decision and a proactive decision, because at the time, really, the issue was confined to South Texas, California, New York, and Florida. And in the interior of the country, we didn't really see a lot of outbreak. But it was very clear that we had to take proactive action. So that all stopped. Just a few weeks later, a note went out to all branches in the United States.
All right, we'll stop it there. But he goes on to say that the reason why the witnesses aren't going door to door during COVID is because they have so much love. They have so much love for their neighbor. They have so much love. They don't want to bring any virus or shake them up. It's because out of love, they're not going door to door. Friends, I'll tell you, you get sick of some of this stuff after a while, but that's that's either a paid little clip or someone knows someone and the Watchtower pushed their way in there. Well, my goodness, have you guys seen this guy? I've seen him a number of times coming across, these local television channels and promulgating.
Hey,
yes, Daniel.
Yeah, can I ask you a question? Did he say in the beginning, we the United States? Like we're part of the world? Did he say that right in his introduction?
I think so. Let me just go.
Watchtower. Yeah, we the United States. Think about that.
Well, yeah. Let's go back. Let's see exactly what he said. Here we go. Let's listen.
Here in the United States, was it wherever COVID spread? Can you just kind of talk about that a little bit?
Sure. March 20th was really when we in the United States stopped.
Yeah, we in the United States.
Got it. It just makes them sound. Hold on, it just makes it sound so worldly. Us, the United States. I mean, that's so much marketing in that, Rick. It's like we're part of this world. We're proactive. We're ahead of the game. We're doing this to save society. And I wanted to bring out a quick point, Rick, if I could. And I'm not changing the subject at all. But I wanted to bring out about the vaccines. Can I make a little statement about that?
Of course you can.
This is going to blow you away. You read the thing last week about the Bethelites. Strongly suggested to take the vaccines. Or, like if you don't take the vaccines, you're not going to be, allowed to come into Bethel. And I am calling around different places, and they're saying that you can get a religious medical waiver. Why would Jehovah's Witnesses not use that? I mean, Rick, are they trying to exterminate the people? I mean, think about this. Everywhere I called, I talked to my daughter in New York, and they're saying, oh, my God, you can get a religious waiver. And there's all these scriptures that you can say, like, we don't mask ourselves, and we don't do this, and we don't do that. It's not part of my religious belief, so I don't have to participate. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, what has Watchtower done by telling the Bethelites, if you want to return here, we're going to really demand, you know, that you're vaccinated, Rick. I mean, this is like crossing the line. It's like you said about Sharia law. I know I got a little off track there, Rick, but I just wanted to bring that out to these people that the Watchtower, I mean, who are they working with here? I mean, my God, there's so much controversy around these vaccinations, and people are dying. Not everybody should be vaccinated. Not everybody should eat the same food. Not everybody should, you know, do this. One food that makes another person live will kill another person. So we don't mandate food. We don't mandate vaccination. But for governing body to sort of mandate that, to be a part of BETHEL is insanity, especially, Rick, because they haven't done their homework, and there is a, what do you call it? There's a way out of it. There's a way out of it, and it's your religious convictions that say, I don't have to, and that's our right. Anyway, Rick, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, Dan, I've given that thought too. You can get a religious exemption. But the witnesses, the Watchtower release is not even suggesting that, like you say. They're telling you, get the vaccination. If you don't get it, you might not be able to have privileges. So they're really, I'll tell you what, though, Dan, I mean, they are working with the powers to be. This organization that we know as Jehovah's Witnesses, they have bigger connections than we think. And sometimes I think this whole world of the cabal, not to get too much with our tinfoil hats on here tonight, but I'll tell you, I'm beginning to think this whole world that we're seeing, all the big guys are working together, and they are doing everything they can to pull the wool over the people's eyes. Well, thank you, Dan. That's good. While you're on JW, yes.
Hey, Rick, this is Elaine with JEHOVAH'S. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Elaine. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, two things I wanted to tell you. I don't know if you subscribe to Google Alerts. I subscribe to Google Alerts, and I get notified via email of anything Jehovah's Witness. And what I can tell you is they must be paying newspapers, advertising, and news agencies to come on air, because they have what I keep getting these alerts, and I can't tell you, I must get at least 10 to 15 a month. It's called A Year Without Knocking on Doors, where over and over and over in newspaper articles around the world and news agencies around the world, they're doing the same thing with Hendricks, or it's the same article, how they're no longer knocking on doors. So I don't know if you get that Google alert, but you will see quite a pattern of it.
Yeah, no, in fact, my wife gets it, and she does bring that to my attention. And I have to say, Elaine, that this is not just happening automatically. So somebody's knocking on these, someone's knocking on these media doors and saying, hey, look, we got a story for you.
Yeah, and just like Rutherford paid and Russell paid for all these advertisements, they're doing the same thing. And by the way, Robert Hendricks used to go to my family member's congregation up on Long Island.
Wow.
And I know that only because I was watching another fellow YouTuber, and she made a YouTube video about Hendricks, saying how unbelievably arrogant he was, and that he went to her congregation, and it was my brother's congregation. Well, you know, I don't know the third and fourth generations of my immediate family because I've been shunned for more than 30 years. So I contacted her and said, please, can we talk? And she gave me some updates about my brother and his family, which was wonderful. But the main thing is Hendricks went there. She said he was extremely arrogant, wouldn't even barely talk to anybody in the congregation unless they were, you know, good old boy elders and pioneers. So just my take.
Well, no, well, thank you for sharing that. I did not know that, but so that gives more insight into this. So he's out of New York. And I have to say that this man, I'm just thinking out loud. I mean, I don't know for sure, but this man is being used an awful lot. He comes across as pretty credible to maybe the general public, not to me, but he seemed to be a good spokesman. I wouldn't doubt You know, I believe eventually they're going to get rid of the governing body if this organization even lasts another few years. And eventually I think they're going to go back to, one man making the shots. And this guy very well could be it. I'm serious. Yeah.
He could be. Thanks, Rick. I appreciate it.
Well, Elaine, always good to hear from you. My goodness, you made my night here tonight. I'm very happy you called in. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, there you go. My goodness, see, we have people. This is what's nice about the Six Screens community. Boy, I'll tell you, we're all keeping everybody right up to date on what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. So, yeah, I learned a little bit about Robert Hendricks there. All right, let's see what else we got going on. You are listening to Critical News, the news the Watchtower doesn't want you talking about, but we talk about it here every single Saturday night and every other Sunday. Yeah, so they're out there. They're trying to get all this good PR they can. They're trying to get it. I'm sure they're paying for some of it, as Elaine just said. But also, sometimes it's kind of like a slow day at the news station, not much going on. So it's like they call easy time filler. In a news station, when there's nothing going on, they find something easy time, something that's, well, let's throw that in there. So I'm sure they're knocking on doors all over the place. And it's not too unusual for the press to interview one of these spokesmen. I mean, when you stop and think about it, Jehovah's Witnesses have been in the news before, but real news stories, real news stories. Maybe when they had big conventions like in New York. And of course, that was a news story when you have 250,000 people coming to a convention. So, they got that for free. But lately, I think they're paying for any news, good news they can get. Okay, you're on with us. Go ahead. You want to speak up, Colorado? Go ahead. All right. Well, anyways, we have got more to talk about here tonight. I just wanted to say a couple of things here about this. We do have a lot of these. You guys must see it. I see it in newspapers. I see it on television, and so it's quite interesting. Okay, go ahead. You're with us. If you'd like to speak up, you're in the green zone. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rick, I have a question, and I've been out for 9 years. Okay, now I hope I could bring this question out. So I was taught as a child or teenager in 1935. The sealing of the 144,000 was done, right? In fact, I remember when people would partake and elders would tell me, no, they're not of the 144,000. And I said, how do you know? They said their age. Well, none of the governing body members were born in 1935 or earlier. I think Sam Hurd was the only one that was born in 1935. So you made an interesting comment that they may do away with the governing body someday because, these guys are getting up in age. They're not able to do much as well as far as public speaking. Every time they give a talk, it's not good. You could just see right through it. So you made a nice comment that someday they may not even have the governing body, just spokespeople.
Yeah, it could get to that. And I don't know if I ever mentioned to you or not, Joe, but at one time, of course, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I was of the so-called anointed class. And I was a partaker. I had a hope of living in heaven at the time. And I got to know Brother Loesch pretty well at the Watchtower. And I talked to him numerous times on the telephone. And he invited me down to New York in 2001, in March of 2001. And it was for a position on the governing body, if you can believe that. And so I was not interested, really. I didn't even want to be an elder. I wasn't even an elder, but I was considered like an elder, even though I wasn't an elder in the congregation. People came to me because I was anointed, and it kind of trumped the regular eldership. So people would come to me and confide in me and tell me what's going on and all of that, but I never wanted to be an elder. But they were looking to bring some new people in. The Nephilim, if you remember that, back in the early 90s, they brought in helpers that would help the governing body. And Brother Loesch, the given ones, and Brother Loesch told me that caused a firestorm. They were Brother Loesch told me the phone was ringing off the hook with people that were calling into the Watchtower and didn't like that idea. So they went on the hunt looking for anointed male Jehovah's Witnesses in good standing. And I fit that profile. So they invited me and my former wife down. She died since then, but they invited us down. We spent a weekend there, and we spent all day at the Watchtower. And it was something else, but I wasn't biting. And from what I understand, there were three other men there too that were being interviewed. They had to bring some new ones in. They did. They brought some new ones in since then, yes.
That's interesting. So let me ask you one question. What happened in 1935? I've been gone for 9 years. Did they just throw that out the window too then?
Yeah, well, they kind of said that when that statement was made, that 1935, no new anointed is the statement that was made. I believe it was made by Franz. And so he made that no new anointed ones in 1935. So then what happened is they had to backpedal on that. But they even suggested that Franz, that was just his own thinking. He wasn't totally accurate. He was just thinking that. But things have. I don't know how these guys get away with all of this, Joe. To be honest with you, and still remain an organization. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, because I was confused with that. But thanks.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell my story here one of these days on how I was. But a lot of people don't know that. I never really got into it, but I think a lot of people have to hear that. Not doing it in a boasting sense, but for some it would be considered a privilege to be able to be invited down to New York and for a position on the governing body. But I have to tell you, I think people should hear that story, and I'm going to do an in-depth YouTube video that I've been working on so people can get a feel for what it's like to be interviewed to be a governing body member. I'll go into it all. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Well, anyways.
Yeah, that's sure.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, you're on JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want you talking about, but as we do every Saturday night. And we're so glad we are broadcasting over 4 different platforms right now. We are on Facebook Live. We are on YouTube Live. We are on our 6 Screens Video Suite Live. And we're also on our radio telephone network, so thank you. And, if you guys can get up the courage to call us up and you're listening in on YouTube or some of these other platforms, by all means do that. Because I'm going to tell you, I get at least an email a week saying how people have been helped by listening to people speaking up on the 6 Screens. Brian, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick.
Yes. Go ahead.
This is Zachary.
Oh, Zachary. I'm sorry. I thought you were another.
Unless someone else is talking.
Okay, you're right. You're good. Go ahead, Zach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Someone just asked what happened to 1935. Can I just chime in on that?
Of course.
Yeah. Remember, 1935 was supposed to be, the teaching was that by 1935, the number of the anointed had been filled. The 144,000 had been filled. And any new people would be like just replacements. Well, then I think it was in 2007, there was a Watchtower article, but it wasn't a major one. It was like one of those questions from readers type articles. I think it may have been in the summer of 2007. They explained that it is possible, they changed the doctrine to, it is possible that the number, the 144,000 had never been filled as they thought it had been filled by 1935. Now they say maybe new people coming in are not replacements, but just getting that number, 144,000 filled.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's exactly right. I did hear that too. Yeah.
Around 2007, and a Watchtowers. One of those, yeah, you know what I mean? One of those
Yeah.
issues.
Well, thank you, Zach. Thank you for coming out of the suite and coming on. Yeah.
I have an opinion on that. In my opinion, I think that they were having pressure with their doctrine because, of course, the end hadn't come, and now they had these new governing body members who, as this brother just said, you know, they weren't old enough to be born maybe in 1935. So now they're putting in new brothers. They don't have enough who are old enough or enough who are in a position to become governing body members who are old enough. So they got these younger ones. And of course, if that's the case, you do have to kind of start changing the doctrine to saying something like that, that the number had never been filled, possibly by 1935. The number is still being filled.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's very, very fascinating that you say that. Very, very fascinating. And, you know, the oldest members, I believe Samuel Hurd, I believe he's the oldest member of the governing body. He right now is, from what I understand, 94. Loesch, Brother Loesch, he's 78, 79, maybe 79. So they're getting up there in age. And, you know, I don't know what they're going to do. So only time will tell, but they just might do away with it altogether and bring back, you know, like a one-man show here. You know, we'll see what happens.
Right, thank you.
All right. Zach, how do you?
Rick,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I had an interesting experience. I went to, this is one of the nights I came into 6 screens on the suite real late. But I'd gone shopping and the stores had closed. And so I thought, let me run somewhere and get something to eat, get some comfort food. And I went to this place that was, you know, to bring it home. And I went to this place that was, they changed it around and it's a bar. And when I walk in there, not the dark beer garden type bar, but it's, you know, sort of like a sports bar. But I walk in there and people are sitting at the counter. And as soon as I walk in there, somebody says to me, "Oh, how are you?" And I look and I recognize the face, and it's a person who's who I knew to be a witness. And so he starts talking and going on, and I haven't seen you, and I felt uncomfortable. And so I said, "They sell food here, right?" And then he said, "Yeah." And then he started talking more and more, and I kind of wanted to kill the conversation. I said, "Where do you order?" but the okay. So then I ordered, and I'm standing there, and he's sitting at the bar with someone else, and they're talking. He and another man were sitting there, and I thought I kind of cut him off. I do think I need to open up conversation. Maybe I can ask some questions. So I started asking him questions, and I said, I asked him, I was trying to remember exactly who he was, and then I started to see which congregation he was from, and I remembered. But everything that he said, "But we're not with them now. We're with so-and-so." And I would ask, "What about such and such a congregation?" "Well, they're with so-and-so," because they didn't have enough people. And it was a constant thing of, this congregation is no longer there. They've joined that congregation, or they've joined 3 congregations together to make a congregation. So many of the congregations are not there anymore because I guess because of dwindling numbers. It was interesting because he seems to still be active. He mentioned his wife, but I have to tell you something funny that happened while I was standing there. This is not that important, but you know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So I'll whisper this part out. I don't want people to hear too much. Next, I'm standing there, and the waitress behind the bar walks over to a woman with this this large contraption, and she sets it on the bar. It reminded me of one of those old-fashioned ashtrays, the tall ashtrays that you might see in a hotel lobby, an old hotel lobby. And it had contraptions. It had a thing, and the woman starts to smoke it. And I realized it's I didn't know what it was called, but I think they call it a hookah something.
A hookah pipe.
Yeah, it's tall. And from time to time, the waitress would come over and scrape off something from the top, and I realized she was scraping off ashes. And so this tall thing, and the person sitting at the bar, and they're occasionally smoking it. So I saw the waitress bring another one out, and she sat it in front of the man, or between the man and the brother. And I thought, oh, that man's got one too. And then, as I stood there, it was the brother who started to smoke it.
Well,
and I couldn't bring myself to say anything at that point. It was just like when my food came, okay, so good to see you.
Well,
I'll see you. Goodbye.
Well, that was an experience, Zach. That was an experience. But
Yeah.
you're not going to catch active witnesses smoking hookah pipes, I'll tell you. Well, thank you. Thank you. I enjoyed this story. Thank you. Yeah, well, that's Zach. Yeah, my goodness. Yeah, well, anyways, I gotta play this for you guys. You want another laugh? Well, Zach, we just made us laugh, but something really made me laugh today. One of the stories I came across, and this is just totally outrageous. Jehovah's Witnesses encouraging women, young girls, to put on lots of makeup. Did you see this? Unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's crazy what this organization is doing, but actually encouraging young girls. I'm going to play you the video, and you're going to see it if you're on video networks here. You'll see it. And, I talked to my wife, Susan, about this morning. Susan was into makeup. She actually worked for a company called Bare Minerals, and she was a makeup artist. And she took a look at this video and she said, man, these girls, the lipstick's too red. They're putting too much makeup on. She tore it apart. But what was concerning her? Young girls, little witness girls, I'm talking as little as probably 12 years old, being encouraged to put on makeup? I mean, come on. With all the pedophiles and sex perverts in the organization, makeup for kids and make yourself up so you look like a harlot? I mean, that's what some of these look like. I'm going to play the video. Let's play the video. Here it goes. Just give us a second here. We'll have to get it up. Hold on one second. We got an ad coming up here, but we'll get back to it. Stay with us. We're going to skip the ad. We're going to go back.
At times I wish I could see exactly what my future will be, and how my life will turn out, and which road is the right one for me.
It's showing witness girls putting makeup
No
on.
matter what comes along, I live for Jehovah, to Him I belong. Of all the people and things, my life would be filled with the best one of all. The best one to build with is pleasing Jehovah each day. With the choices I make.
Well, those on the network, it's all these young girls putting makeup on and making themselves look like little harlots.
Never forget it. I'm saving His hands. I'll never regret it. I'm building my future with Him every step that I take. At times the chance comes along to take a path I know to be wrong, a path that leads me away from the place place that I know.
Well, look at that girl there. That girl right there, she's an Asian girl. She can't be any more than 13 years old, maybe 14. And they're passing the makeup brush around. They're singing music in the background. This is not your grandfather's organization anymore. This is nuts. What is the Watchtower thinking? I'm only thinking perhaps they're trying to get the women looking so good because there's more women in the organization than men. So maybe what they're trying to do is get the women looking so good that they attract a lot of men. They do need ministerial servants. They need elders. They're leaving in droves. So maybe that's the reason for the video. I don't know, but it certainly doesn't make sense. Let's listen in.
I belong. Keeping in mind the dedication I made, and give me the firmness and faith that won't fade. Of all the people and things, my life could be filled with the best one of all. The best one to build with is pleasing Jehovah each day with.
Now, really, I just want you to just stop and think. If you're on our radio network, you really can't see this. But it's got to be showing, so far they've probably shown 20 young girls, and now they're even going to show some older women. And what they're doing is they're passing around a makeup brush, and they're putting makeup on. I know it's hard to believe. I had a hard time believing it. And they're singing this song to Jehovah in the background. And as people are writing on Facebook and writing comments in, what are they making themselves up for the pedophiles? Well, what is the Watchtower accomplishing by this? Let's listen and watch the rest of it.
The choices I made, He gave me all that I have. I'll never forget it. I'm safe in His hands. I'll never regret it. I'm living my future with Him every step that I take. I'm building a future that never will end.
Now look at that young girl. Look at that young girl. That girl there, I mean, I'm not an estimator of age, but that girl doesn't look any more than 8 or 9 years old. And she's putting makeup on? This is nuts. It's crazy. And the song is singing to Jehovah in the background. Go figure.
If I build it with help from Jehovah, my friend, the happiest moments, the best life can give, come from pleasing Jehovah each day that I live.
Well, there it is. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do with that. What can you do with it? What are witnesses thinking about this? What would you do if you were still in the organization and saw stuff like this? My goodness, it would be enough to send you to the exit door. I'm really beginning to think that I don't think the witnesses want any new recruits. I think they're trying to get rid of some of the people that are on the edge to begin with. I don't think they're really wanting to bring new ones in. I think they just might want to keep the loyal ones and send everybody else packing. Gee, this doesn't seem like some of these videos and some of these spots that we've been running here and reading on the 6 screens. It doesn't seem like it's doing anything to incite the witnesses to want to hang in with them. My God, they're scaring the witnesses to death. They're showing little girls putting makeup on. You tell me, maybe the organization wants to deliberately get rid of a bunch of people, get some new recruits online, get younger ones in, and try to work a whole new organization. I don't know. I can't figure it out. You can't figure it out, friends. But anyways, we're glad you've been with us tonight. You have been on JW World News. And I want to tell you, I want to thank, we get emails in here to the 6 screens all the time. And I want to thank all the people that speak up, because people writing emails, they say, I really learned so much from people speaking up and coming in and wanting to be part of the 6 screens community. And speaking up, it helps so many people. If it were just me sitting here doing a YouTube or doing my regular programming, it wouldn't hold attention. But by the people calling in and giving their thoughts, man, I'll tell you what, it really shows there's a lot of people out there that are really disenchanted with the Watchtower organization. So, you know, if you haven't spoke up tonight, we still have more programs coming up. And let me just explain to you what does go on at the 6 screens. JW World News is just one program. This is just one program. We have right now about 17. We're bringing on another new program tonight. We will have 18 different programs that run here on the 6 screens. Now, well, what it is they're all, for the most part, in fact, all of the people right now doing programs are former Jehovah's Witnesses. And they want to speak up. They want to expose the Watchtower for all the evil ordinances and decrees they set out on people. So they have programs. We have a number of them. We have one coming up next after JW World News. It's called Heart to Heart. And that's with Dan and Angela Clark. And they're going to have a guest on tonight. You don't want to miss it. He's going to talk about how he was really duped by the Watchtower. So now you say, well, how do I listen into these programs on the 6 screens? Well, we're on YouTube and on Facebook right now. But after this program, JW World News, we cut it off. Now, if you want to listen in, you're going to have to dial a telephone number. And the telephone number, it's right there on the YouTube description and the Facebook description. There's a telephone number. If you call that number, you can listen in on your cell phone, 727-731-6701. Or if you go to 6screensofthewatchtower.com, scroll down, and when you're on that site, scroll down to where it says Video Suite, click here. Put your name in. You can put a fictitious name in, and you can listen to us online. That's our 6 Screens Video Suite. And that's where people chat, and they have a good time in there. And they can also see the program on video as well. So give that a shot. So we will be disconnecting Facebook and YouTube in just a few minutes. So if you want to continue listening in, go to 6screensofthewatchtower.com. The instructions are all there. Well, I find it very fascinating every Saturday night and every other Sunday to come in and talk to you folks. And, you know, we've been doing it, like I say, for 16 years, but I get excited every Saturday night. I really, really do. And I'm so pleased that we have a good audience, and they love to contribute to the program as far as speaking up and talking. Do we have someone that wants to say something? We got a couple minutes left. You're on with us. Go ahead.
Rick, I was just thinking about that, the makeup. You just played that song or whatever about the young girls wearing makeup.
Yeah.
Now, was that part of their assembly program or their weekly meeting? I mean, what was that a part of? Telling sisters or kids to wear, young girls wear makeup. What was that a part of?
Well, it's just one of their videos off of their site, from what I can gather. And it's just, something to keep people entertained and to get them thinking. But I mean, do you think that's a wholesome thing for young girls to put makeup on like that?
That's a new thing. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Was that part of their meeting, part of their weekly Zoom meeting? I mean, how did they even come up with that during the weekly? That's why I'm asking. Was it a part of their meeting or?
No, it wasn't part of the meeting. No, it wasn't part of the meeting. It wasn't part of the assembly, the convention. But what I gather is what they're doing is they're mass producing videos. You know, cartoons, Caleb, Sophia, they're mass producing tons of them, and they're putting them up all over. You know, Jehovah's Witnesses are finding them. You can get it somewhere in jw.org, but they're producing numerous amounts of videos, and that's one of them. I don't know what the purpose of it is, but that's one of them.
That's why I said I wish my mother was alive to see what's going on now, because she would never believe it. Because I remember years ago, like in the early 2000s or something, my congregation and the surrounding runs, they had like a little talent show. But I remember my mother pointing it out and saying, see, we can't hold this in the Kingdom Hall. We have to have it, they had it like at like one of those wedding venues or something like that you rent. He said, no, we can't do this in the in the Kingdom Hall. That's why they rented, the wedding place where they have wedding reception and stuff. But now, remember that video where them doing that Southern, with the cowboy boots and everything, doing that country western dance? And that was in the hall, right?
Yeah.
That's why I said, I hope wherever they are, they can see, because this is unbelievable what's going on now. It's totally unbelievable.
Well, It is. In fact, it's almost like I died and came back, and what's going on? But this is all happening before our eyes, Shirley. This is absolutely nutty, you know?
But how are they getting away? What do they, I mean, they all, like back in the day, I haven't been to a meeting in 100 years. So back in the day, I remember the meeting, every time they come up with one of their wacky ideas, they always had a scripture to back it up. So what the hell kind of scripture can you pull up? The girl who wears makeup. I mean, this is crazy.
Well,
it's crazy.
Oh, Shirley.
Yeah, it makes us laugh. It makes me laugh. I can't even keep a straight face doing these stories sometimes. It's so absurd.
I know, I can't believe it. What's happened to them? And they're still holding on. The old timers, there are no young people.
No.
I mean, it's just unbelievable what's going on now.
Well, you're right.
It's unbelievable.
Well, Shirley, thank you. Always good to hear from you. We love you, buddy. Keep calling in. We appreciate it. Thank you. All right.
Hey, Rick.
Yes. We got about 2 minutes. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, 2 minutes. That's all I'll take.
Okay.
Remember when, you talk about this makeup, remember when they wouldn't allow us to have pierced earrings? They discouraged that. They said that was messing with our bodies and, and all of that. So this here is a joke.
Yeah, didn't that rock your boat a little bit, Carrie?
Yeah, it rocked, but I didn't have, at the time, I didn't have pierced earrings. So,
well, there you go.
Pierced.
Well,
my ears weren't pierced, so I got that much, much later when I left.
Well, Carrie, you just keep doing your thing. I appreciate you coming in here tonight. You're a good woman. Don't you ever change. Thank you for coming out of the suite and saying hello to us. Thank you.
Great. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right. Well, there you go. Friends, we are going to Heart. Dan and Angela Clark, they're coming up next right here on the Six Screens Telenetwork. Let me just end YouTube. We're going to be ending Facebook as well. If you want to listen to these programs, go to Six Screens or the Watchtower.